The World of Warcraft 20th anniversary is almost upon us, and we did get an update from Linksy, the community manager over on the official Blizzard forums. They're saying that the 20th anniversary celebration of World of Warcraft is almost here, and we have many exciting activities and rewards to share with you. These activities and rewards won't be available this week, but will become available for testing in a later PTR build, so keep an eye out on this forum for more information. In the meantime, take a look at our 20th anniversary article to learn more about what's in the works right now. At the very top of their list, the Drakthir spread their wings over to new classes. So in the 20th anniversary update, Drakthir players in World of Warcraft will be able to create characters in new classes such as Hunter, Rogue, Priest, Mage, Warrior, or Warlock starting at level 10 in the Forbidden Reach. After the intro experience, they meet Chromie in their capital. A known bug allows Drakthir to pick Exile's Reach, which will be fixed later. Players can toggle between Drakthir and Visage Form in combat with new racial updates, including longer cooldowns for abilities like Tail Swipe and Wing Buffet. Visage Form now offers visual wing effects for Wing Buffet, and activating Visage is off the global cooldown. Soar will now shift players between the Visage Form upon landing. Pretty much every class is getting some sort of big update, but let's kick it off with Death Knight because that was at the top of the list. The Death Knight talent tree has undergone some significant updates, but let's kick it off with some new talents, which is Reaper's Onslaught. Reaper's Onslaught is going to reduce the Reaper's Mark cooldown, but lowers the number of empowered Marrow Rends and obliterates. Swift and Painful is going to grant 10% strength for 8 seconds if no enemies are hit by Soul Rupture, and enhances Wave of Souls. Reaper of Souls resets Soul Reaper's cooldown when applying Reaper's Mark and makes the next Soul Reaper free and more powerful. Some other changes includes updates to the existing talents like Grim Reaper, Wither Away, and Dark Talons, which now have additional effects or improvements to ability interactions. They did remove some talents, so you can say goodbye to Swift End, Painful Death, Blood Fever. Additionally, Rune Carved Plates now reduce damage slightly less, and Arctic Assault fires Glacial Advance at reduced effectiveness. Next up, we have Demon Hunter, which has received the following updates. The icons for Sigil of Spite and the Hunt have been updated. Focus Hatred now grants bonus damage even in multi-target scenarios, but the bonus reduces by 10% for each additional target. For Vengeance, now Metamorphosis now heals for 40% of maximum health instead of altering health directly. Casting Metamorphosis while in demon form no longer heals, and triggers Last Resort always heals for 40% of the base maximum health. The developer notes here clarify that these changes fix inconsistencies in healing when Metamorphosis is used while in demon form, and improved healing during Last Resort. The Druid class is going to get numerous updates, so let's start with Mark of the Wild, which is now 1% base mana down from 4%. Icons of Adaptive Swarm and Convoke the Spirits have been updated. Ravage duration extended to 20 seconds up from 15. Balanced specialization, so several new talents introduced such as Sunseeker Mushrooms, which causes Sunfire to grow mushrooms that explode and deal nature damage, and Whirling Stars, which reduces Celestial Alignment's cooldowns but shortens its duration. Balanced Druids are going to see some new talents introduced such as Sunseeker Mushrooms, which causes Sunfire to grow mushrooms that explode and deal nature damage, and Whirling Stars, which reduces the Celestial Alignment's cooldown but shortens its duration. Starfall is now baseline at level 15, its damage is increased by 10%. Some adjustments to talents like Wild Mushroom is going to give you more astral power, Umbral Intensity is going to boost your Wrath and Starfire damage, and Astral Communion, which impacts your Eclipse and causes your next Star Surge Starfall to cost a lot less. Many talents have been repositioned or swapped within the tree, and some have been removed completely, like Starfall and Greater Alignment. Resto Druids are going to get a new talent called Reactive Resin, which adds a healing over time effect if enemy players remove your heals. Some other changes that we're going to see are various tweaks to damage output, cooldowns, and astral power regeneration across talents. Talent tooltips updated for clarity, and some removed talents include Lunar Shrapnel and Keeper of the Grove. The Evoker class is going to receive the following updates, and these are just general changes, but Blessing of the Bronze mana cost is reduced to 1% down from 4%. Clobbering Sweep now reduces Tail Swipe cooldown by 2 minutes up from 45 seconds. Heavy Wing Beats reduces Wing Buffet cooldown by 2 minutes up from 45 seconds. Permeating Chills is now a baseline ability and no longer triggers immune messages when used on targets immune to slow. Renewing Blaze is no longer affected by healing modifiers except in arenas where dampening still applies. Some talent tree updates that we're going to see are Heavy Wing Beats and Clobbering Street, which are no longer a choice node, and their positions in the class have been changed. Scale Commander Bombardments now summon various Drakthir models. The Hunter class has received extensive updates across all specializations, so let's start with the general changes. New talents like Death Blow, which cause Kill Command and Aim Shot to have a 10% chance to reset kill shots cooldown, making it usable on any target regardless of health. Steady Shot now generates 10 focus for all specs. Updated animations for volley and rapid fire. Improved kill shot has been removed. Dark Ranger spec. Black Arrow replaces kill shot, dealing shadow damage to low health targets. Withering Fire, Shadow Surge, and Bleak arrows have now been redesigned to synergize with Black Arrow and other shadow themed talents. New talents including Bleak Powder, which is an explosive black arrow, and Soul Drinker, which is a death blow chance on enemy death. Beast Mastery. New talent Snakeskin Quiver adds a chance for auto shot to fire Cobra Shot. Cobra Shot and Barb Shot talents revamped, increasing damage and lowering cooldowns. The Barb Shot cooldown is increased to 18 seconds, but its damage and duration has been boosted. Animal Companions no longer reduce pet damage by 35%, but several pet abilities have had their damage reduced. Marksmans can look forward to the following new talents. So let's start with Pin Cushion, which reduces aim shots cooldown via Steady Shot. Improved Death Blow increases chance and critical damage for aim shot and rapid fire to trigger kill shot. Precise Shots and Steady Focus talents have been updated for better synergy. Survival Hunters have not been left out. The Fury of Eagle damage is increased by 25% with faster channeling. New talents such as Merciless Blow adds a bleed effect to Butchery, and updates to Sick'em and Exposed Flank for better interaction with Kill Command and Coordinated Assault. Butchery damage and cooldown is increased, and charges have been completely removed. Time to show our mages a little bit of love, and some general changes for them is that Arcane Intellect now costs 1% base mana, down from 4%. Shifting Powers icon is now updated. There's a new talent signature spell called Spellslinger, and for Arcane, Magi's Spark Explosion conjures 6 arcane splinters. For Frost Conjuring's Winter's Chill and Glacial Spike conjures 2 extra Frost Splinters. For Arcane, Splinter Storm has a 5% chance to generate clear casting. There's a new talent called Ether Vision. Arcane Barrage gains damage and generates arcane charges when Nether Precision is consumed. Updates to Time Loop, Lay Drinker, and Charged Orb for increased effectiveness, and Resonant Orbs have been completely removed. For Frost, Splinter Storm no longer applies Winter's Chill and has a 5% chance to grant Brain Freeze. Fire has a new talent called Majesty of Phoenix, which improves Flame Strike's critical chance and damage after casting Phoenix Flames. Heat Shimmer and Fuel the Fire have had adjustments. Bug fixes for Pyromaniac, Controlled Destruction, and Hypothermia have been implemented. Next up, we have our Monks. As a general change, Weapons of Order and Jadefire Stomp icons have been completely updated. Mistweavers now have a new passive ability called Dome of Mist, which is acquired at level 45. Enveloping Mist turns 80% of its remaining healing into damage absorbing Dome when dispelled, increasing Monk's healing by 30% for 8 seconds. Ancient Teachings is now baseline and transfers 30% of damage from crackling Jade Lightning into healing. There's a new talent called Jade Fire Teachings. This boosts Ancient Teachings healing and Monk stamina for 15 seconds after Jade Fire Stomp or Thunder Focus Tea. Mistweavers are also getting a new talent called Refreshment, which causes Life Cocoon to grant mana tea stacks and healing elixirs to its target. Another new talent Mistweavers are going to get are Rushing Wind Kick, which causes a nature damage AoE ability that increases Renewing Mist healing. This is going to replace Rising Sun Kick. And finally, the new talent Jade Empowerment, which boosts crackling Jade Lightning damage by 1000% and chains it to additional enemies. Some other changes that monks are going to get are crackling Jade Lightning damage is increased by 100% and channels 25% faster. Blackout Kick damage is increased by 25% and hits additional targets. The Dance of Chi-Ji trigger chance has been doubled and moved in the talent tree. Enveloping Mist is now dispellable, and Nourishing Chi and Ancient Concordance have been completely removed. Alright, next up we have Paladins, and they have a ton of changes that you don't want to miss. Let's dive right in. So for their new talents, they're going to have Holy Ritual. Now when you cast any blessing spell, you'll heal your allies and then heal them again when the blessing ends. Worthy Sacrifice automatically casts Blessings of Sacrifice on allies within 40 yards if they drop below 35%, and it triggers 100% of its cooldown. Crazy. Steed of Liberty, your divine steed now also grants Blessings of Freedom for 3 seconds. Eye for an Eye makes your melee and ranged attackers take holy damage every time they hit you while you're using Ardent Defender, Divine Protection, and Divine Shield. Stoicism reduces the stun durations on you by 20%, but only 10% in PvP. Wrench Evil makes Turn Evil instant cast and no more waiting around. Then Against Evil now makes Turn Evil affect 5 additional enemies nearby. Righteous Protection makes your Blessings of Sacrifice remove and prevent poison poison and disease effects. Light's Countenance reduces the cooldowns of Repentance and Binding Light by 15 seconds. Sacred Strength now causes your holy power abilities to be 2% more effective. Divine Spurs reduces your Divine Steed cooldown by 20% but shortens its duration by 40%. A Just Reward makes it so after using Cleanse successfully the target gets healed. Imperial Ward makes it so Lay on Hands grants 100% increased armor for 30 seconds and ignores healing reduction effects. Light Bearer, 10% of all healing done to you from other sources now heals up to 4 nearby allies. Selfless Healer, Flash of Light and Holy Light are 30% more effective on allies and also heal you by 40% of the healing done. Crazy. Inspired Guard, Ardent Defender and Divine Protection now increase healing taken by 15% for that duration. Holy Reprieve reduces the duration of Forbearance by 10 seconds. Light's Revocation is now heals you for 10% of each effect removed up to 30% of your shield, up to 30% of your health. Blessed Calling makes it so that all your allies are affected by your blessings get a 15% movement speed boost. Lead the Charge makes it so Divine Steed reduces the cooldown of major movement abilities for 4 nearby allies by 3 seconds and boosts your own speed by 3%. Divine Reach now expands the radius of your auras by 20 yards. Some ability updates that Paladins are going to get are Fist of Justice now has a 15-second duration. Fist of Justice now has a 15-second reduced cooldown on Hammer of Justice. Sanctified Wrath extends the duration of Avenging Wrath and enhances its effects. Consecrated Ground is now a class tree talent. Seasoned Warhorse is now a passive ability learned at level 40. Judgment now has a 10% damage increase and a 1-second cooldown reduction. Hammer of Justice's base cooldown is now 45 seconds down from 60. Avenging Wrath now also boosts your critical strike chance. Unbound Freedom will now also target a nearby ally when you cast Blessing of Freedom on yourself. Lightforged Blessing heals for 3% maximum health across all specializations of Dusk and Dawn increases the effect of Blessing of Dawn by 10% for protection and retribution and 5% for Holy Paladins. Some talent adjustments that we're going to also see are Fist of Justice and Holy Aegis are now 1-point talent. Vengeful Wrath and Zealot's Paragon are now 2-point talents, and talents removed completely include Seal of the Crusader, Vanguard's Momentum, and a few others have been completely removed. Some spec-specific updates that I want to talk about is for Holy Paladin, we're going to see Word of Glory and Shield of Righteous healing has been increased. For Prot Paladins, we're going to see that there's new burn damage from Avenger's Shield and increased healing and damage for Word of Glory and Shield of Righteous. For Ret Paladins, we're going to see that there's a boosted damage for Shield of Righteous and increased healing for Word of Glory. Paladin received a massive update, and I mean, that's just, whew, that was a mouthful. On to the next one. So priest updates are going to be Power Word Fortitude now costs 1% base mana down from 4%. Archon Sustained Potency now causes Apotheosis, Dark Ascension, and Void Form for up to 20 seconds while out of combat or when affected by control effects. They fixed some issues with Cyclone and similar effects blocking halos from Power Surge and with Halo not being castable during Divine Ascension. Void Weaver Entropic Rift now has a hostile variant for PvP and shows a low noise version for allies. Finally, for Holy Priest, we have From Darkness Comes Light, which now also triggers from Holy Fire damage. On to Rogues, they're going to get a new talent called Thrill Seeking, which adds an extra charge to Shadow Step or to Grappling Hook if you're Outlaw. Thistle T now auto triggers when your energy drops below 50. Cut to the Chase extends Slice and Dice duration without needing an existing Slice and Dice. Shadow Step has been removed, but it is still automatically granted for Assassination and Subtlety. Soothing Darkness now also heals for 30% of your maximum health over 6 seconds up from 15% and no longer triggers from Shadow Dance. There's updated icons for Echoing Reprimand and Flagellation. Fatebound Inevitability is now renamed to Inevitable End. It and Double Jeopardy effects now match any flip outcome, not just one face or the other. Delivered Doom now gives bonus damage based on the number of nearby targets, decreasing by 6% for each target beyond the first. For the Assassination spec, Twist the Knife now allows Envenom's beneficial effect to overlap up to 2 times. For Outlaw, Crack Shot now refreshes between the eyes cooldown upon gaining stealth. Precise Cuts increases Blade Fury damage by 4% per missing target below its max. It used to be 2%. Keep It Rolling cooldown is reduced to 6 minutes, down from 7. Blade Flurry's range is now as it was with the old Acrobatic Strikes talent. For Subtlety, Death Perception now adds half extra charge to Symbols of Death. This is a 2-point talent, and then now completely removed talents are Sepsis and Invigorating Shadow Dust. Shamans have also received a massive update just like Paladin, so I'm going to try to summarize this as quick as I can. Sky Fury mana cost reduced to 1%. The Ascendance models have been updated for each spec. Shamans now float on water in Ascendant form, and Mana Spring no longer shows who benefits. Visual updates were updated for Lava Burst and Primordial Wave. Under Farseer, we're going to see Elemental Blast now prioritize recent targets, and Ancestors prefer Chain Lightning and come equipped with a historic set. Under Stormringers, we're going to see Lightning Conduit increases movement speed and calls Thunderstorm on Reincarnate. Electroshock boosts movement speed with Tempest. Storm Swell grants Mastery, and Nature's Protection reduces damage from Lightning Shield. Surging Currents enhances Chain Heal or Healing Surge after Tempest. Some of the updated icons that were removed is Shocking Grasp. Under the enhancement talent tree, we can expect Awakening Storm damage reduced by 35%, and they fixed the damaging issue with Awakening Storms. Under the elemental tree, talents have been repositioned. Herald of the Storms and other new talents adjust cooldowns and damage. Ascendance has been completely redesigned and now transforms into a Flame Ascendant, enhancing elemental overload. There's been various updates to Meteor, Frost Shock, and elemental durations. For Resto Shamans, Coalescing Water now boosts Riptide healing and reduces the mana cost. Reactive Warding speeds up shield consumption, and High Tide progress is now tracked by Swelling Tide and it resets in Raids and Mythic Plus. Some things that have been redesigned on the totemic front is reactivity causes Sundering with Hot Hand. Whirling Elements have been completely redesigned. Imbued Mastery boosts Wind Fury and Flame Tongue effects. Updated icons and effects for various other talents. And there's updated icons and effects for various other talents. Warlocks are not getting a huge update, but there are some to note. The Soul Rot icon has been updated, and for Destruction Warlocks, Diabolical Ritual now triggers with Chaos Bolt, Rain of Fire, and Shadow Burn. If active, casting these spells will extend its duration or reduce it by 1 second. When it expires, Demonic Art is applied, summoning a powerful demon for a devastating attack. Touch of Rancora now makes Demonic Art increase damage and reduce cast time for Chaos Bolt, Rain of Fire, or Shadow Burn. Chaos Bolt also shortens Diabolical Ritual by an extra second. There was a developer's note that I want to point out, and that's the updates to Diabolical Ritual and Touch of Rancora are designed to balance spell casting and enhance the effectiveness of Chaos Bolt. And finally, we have our Warriors, which honestly, they're pretty OP right now, so I'm not surprised that they have the least amount of changes, but they are going to have their Change Spear icon updated. For Arms, Warbreaker's radius is increased to 10 yards, up from 8, and for Fury Warriors, Crushing Force now boosts Bloodthirst critical strike damage by 5 and 10%, which was previously increased by critical strike chance by 2 and 4%. And that's pretty much it. Those are all the updates for PvE, but let's cover PvP real quick. For Druids, the Restoration talent Reactive Resin has been moved from the PvP talent tree over to the Restoration talent tree. Moving on to Monks, specifically Mistweavers, Zen Spheres has been redesigned. Now Zen Spheres come with a 6-second cooldown down from none before. The global cooldown is also reduced to 1 second, and each sphere features a new initial heal or damage event. Additionally, Sphere of Despair now reduces all damage by 3% rather than just reducing damage done to Monk by 10%. Also, Dome of Mist is no longer a PvP talent and is now learned by Mistweavers at level 45. For Paladins, there's a new PvP talent called Spellbreaker. This allows Eye for an Eye to trigger at 100% effectiveness from magic damage and increases its damage by 150% in PvP combat. The PvP talent Wrench Evil has been removed. Holy Paladins gain a new PvP talent Divine Plea, which restores mana over 20 seconds after casting Aura Mastery, but reduces your healing and damage by 30%. Rot Paladins get a new PvP talent called Bear the Burden. With this, Word of Glory's mana cost is reduced to 0, and it also cuts down the cooldown of Blessing of Freedom by 2 seconds. However, its healing is reduced by 50%. When cast on allies. For Ret Paladins, the new PvP talent Ultimate Retribution allows you to mark an enemy who kills an ally within your active aura. If the marked enemy is slain within 12 seconds, the redemption is cast on the fallen ally. As for Priests, the icon for Mind Gains has been updated, and that's pretty much it. And last but not least, Shamans. Elemental Shamans damage bonuses from Ascendance and Lava Burst are reduced by 50% in PvP. The damage bonus from Arc Discharge and Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning is also cut by 50% in PvP. Volcanic Surge has been removed. Enhancement Shamans see the same reduction in damage bonuses from Arc damage for Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning in PvP. And that's all for this one. Those are all the major changes that we're going to see in classes coming in the PTR in 11.0.5. Keep in mind these are probably going to change or could change before they release for live. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace out.